It's only a long minute we've been waiting for.
Call this meeting to order with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I did see Mr. Koblenz here for the prayer.
Yes. Heavenly Father, we thank you that tonight we have life and breath, and it's because of you that we can live and move and have our being. We thank you for this opportunity to live in this beautiful area we call home, and we just pray your protection over Libby. Thank you for these council members. We lift them up to you and pray tonight that you would give them wisdom and protection over them and their families, and just give them guidance in the days ahead. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Williams?
Here.
Councilor Burke?
Here.
Councilor Berger?
Here.
Councilor Ian Smith?
Here.
Councilor Kristen Smith?
Here.
Councilor Taylor?
Here.
Councilor Zimmerman?
Here.
Roll call is complete, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Welcome everyone here tonight, and those who are online. I don't actually have any announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Okay, then we'll move on to approval of the special meeting, council minute meeting held on September 16th. This is a holdover that didn't get approved at the last meeting. Did everyone get a chance to read it and to listen to and read the email that Leanne sent out concerning it?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion we approve minutes for special council meeting held September 16th, 2024, number 1663.
Second.
Okay. Are there any corrections or additions to this minutes?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I was one of them that had some conflict with what was said by Mr. Orr at the last meeting. I re-listened to the audio the other day and I re-listened to it again today. Mr. Orr said that he asked why we would even ask about conflict of interest when you're interviewing Ms. Berger. He said that the council had some issues with one member working for another member not seeing a conflict, and one being on a board and working for another project not being a conflict. I do believe that public comments for Mr. Orr says that commented on conflicts of interest and mentions what he sees as conflicts of interest with other council members pretty much does reflect the audio.
Okay. So you're saying leave the minutes as they are?
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
Just to piggyback off what Mr. Taylor said, I also feel the same way, to leave the minutes as they are.
Okay.
I agree as well.
Okay. Any public comments on these minutes? Mr. Orr?
I'd just like to add that the reason I brought up conflict of interest in that context was that one of the council members had already brought up conflict of interest. Thank you.
Any other public comments on these minutes? Then all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Sorry, I mislaid my agenda. In 3 seconds or less. It brings us to committee reports. The first up would be the administrator's reports. He is not here tonight. He did leave me with something to pass into the Parks Committee. There is some individuals trying to put together some elements regarding a skate park down in the park by the Legion Field, and so there's some information on here, and I'm passing it to Melissa so that the Parks Committee can look at that. And so there's no fire report. Did you want to make any comments at the police report?
Sure.
I think you should. I'm not sure how widespread the news is that you got your grant, so.
Oh, it's not.
So, Madam Mayor, Council, some really good news. We were awarded the Montana Tourism Grant to purchase a brand new patrol car. So we'll be working on that as soon as we can. I reached out to them today. They told me in about 2 weeks the contracts will be signed and forwarded to us, so we can start moving forward with that. So I'm pretty excited about that. Apart from that, today the Madam Mayor brought up some concerns from this community in regards to Mineral Avenue. And so I was asked to take a look at that and do a little bit of an emphasis patrol there. Some people might have seen me making some traffic stops today. So that's why I kind of report on what I found today in that. So today I made 15 traffic stops, and of those 15, 13 of them were all stop sign related. Of the other 2 were speed related, the fastest speed being 35 miles per hour. The average speed for the majority of the time was actually about 20 miles an hour, which I actually was rather surprised about. I expected it to be much higher. But despite all of that, again, I only stopped 2 speeders today. And then throughout my other contacts, I observed over 15 other people run stop signs in that same corridor. So my biggest concern for Mineral is actually stop sign violations. So I've been forwarded to my officers. They're going to be doing an emphasis patrol throughout the community, especially focusing on Mineral Avenue specifically, to make sure that we're trying to quell this. And we don't want people to keep going through stop signs. Obviously that has huge issues, and so we're fortunate that speeding wasn't as big an issue today. And maybe on other days, we're going to keep track of that and see what we find. Apart from that, we did end up having to take one gentleman to jail from those traffic stops, as well as another vehicle was towed to black insurance. So it was a productive day, but we were excited to get some fun facts. So any questions on that?
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Ordinances are on the agenda. The streets issues are on the agenda. Building?
We've reviewed the release for the athletic club behind us. It's been sent to legal. It should be back and over to the leasing for us to review and bring to council at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Zoning commission's on the agenda. No cemetery parks. City County Health Board.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The City County Health Board met last Tuesday, and it didn't appear that it had a full agenda, but there was a fair amount of time spent on one particular topic. There was a variance request for an individual who installed their septic way too close to their well up in Eureka, so they had requested a variance with some modifications to their system. There were reports from all of the programs under the health department guides, their 0 to 5, all the public health ish sections. The board did sort of reaffirm the pandemic influenza response plan, and we'll likely do the communicable disease response plan. There were just a few items that were needed to be updated. The board approved some increased animal shelter fees, and is continuing to work on a group event policy, which sort of specifically was designed to address short-term camping for these events that we're starting to see that, kind of really have an impact on some neighborhoods, mostly in the county. It doesn't have anything to do with the city. But the biggest amount of time was spent with EPA representative. Mr. Jason Raffey was there to provide an update on the Superfund site, and I asked him if he was going to be giving an update to council, and he said there was none planned at the time. I also asked him if he was going to be giving one to the Port Authority, and he said not at this time. So it was, a lot of it was some historical data. Most of it was historical data, and then he spent a fair amount of time talking about the new treatment, the biosparging, that you know, for folks who've been out there on the site and got the tour, that's their new method of treatment. And he dropped towards the end a request that the Board of Health might be looking at a controlled groundwater area at some point in the future. So there was some other folks from the public who had some great pointed questions for EPA. There was a representative from the region on the line as well as from DEQ on the line. And so there will likely be more to come. And I hope that the council does in fact get an update directly from EPA.
Okay. Brings us, I saw Tony somewhere, right here, looking at you. Brings us to the Park District Manager, Mr. Patricia.
Good evening, Tony Patricia, 559 Florence Road. Madam Mayor, council people. Quick report on what's been going on in the recreation business, working with the Libby Park District and the Port Authority and Lincoln County to manage the recreation facilities. Been working on a memorandum of understanding between those groups, and we're close. So thought we'd have it out, but there was one MOU, now we split it into two for each group. And so that brings up an excellent opportunity. Perhaps we should include the city of Libby in a memorandum of understanding for recreation type activities and broaden the umbrella. When we get this one on the street, then we'll come and discuss how we would do that with the city of Libby. We've nearly hired our recreation manager, Parks and Rec manager. We've still got some financial issues with the port and how we're going to do some of that funding, but it's very close. We've got a short list of candidates, but we're not going to do anything till we get the finances taken care of. This swim pond construction is cleared and grubbed. We're ready to commence work on that. We're just looking at some contractor issues. You saw the port pond levels and the fish pond and flopping on the rocks, all of that. There was channel was plugged, and Libby Creek, being at the low stage, flowed away from the channel, and we couldn't rework it because of the international paper and the EPA issues, and wouldn't allow us to work inside the channel. However, it impacted their ability to water as well, and so now we've got the channel cleared, water is flowing into the pond again, and the fish are happy. Outdoor Recreation Association, we're working with the Forest Service. We're going to proceed with the installation of 7 miles of trail on the snowshoe trail, starting at Lee Creek and coming north up to Deep Creek. It includes 2 bridges that will be installed there. Reported previously, we're working with a landowner for trail access, and that got very complicated, and we abandoned that approach. However, I want to point out that Forest Service and this private landowner are still proceeding with the land swap, and it's going to be done in Washington as an act of Congress. And it's going to come out and say, now this property belongs to him, and this is yours over here. And us, the people, have no say in that. So keep your eyes open for that. Act of Congress will change the property ownership. I never knew such a thing. Pioneer Park, the bike track is approved, and we're ready to go to work on that. We've got some experienced trail builders there. They're going to do the design, and the layout is done. The rework on the trail has been taken care of as a Eagle Scout project. That's done. And I heard you talk about a new skateboard project.
It's the same one.
Yeah, that's good. We'll take them one at a time. And I would like to be involved in that, or when you get that committee going and Mr. Montgomery in the back, I think we can make that a good thing. It'll be attractive. You're familiar with the natural resource damage payments. We've been through this a while. As you're aware, Balsam Street failed, but there's round two, and so I would like to work with the council to get that Balsam Street project back into the NRD. There's also the Safe Streets for All program under the Department of Transportation. But I can't push that through by myself, but I would certainly put my shoulder to the wheel if we could get something going there. The rec manager funding, that's been approved. And the Flower Creek Rebel Pile, you're well aware of that because you're the constituents on that. Norgard Trail Parking, that one's also been approved, and that's going to go forward. We're working with the DNRC right now to get a easement through their property, and then we'll have a trail continuous from Hogan Lane through the development, through the DNRC property, through the Forest Service property, up to the Flower Creek ski course. Questions on that?
I have a question on the manager position. Is the county putting money into that? Because when I saw the proposal under the resource grant, that it was partially county funded?
No.
Okay.
The payment for that fund will come out of the NRD for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're trying to get established now is a foundation annuity that will pay a dividend equal to this salary, and that'll kick in 25, 6, 7, 8, in 29.
Okay.
But no taxpayer money.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brings us to public comments on items not on the agenda. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, then come to the podium, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes, except that I have lost my timer. Okay, we can try that one. I didn't remember Sam being gone. Okay, in first comment?
Hi, Carol Sugar. I own Jade Salon on the corner of 4th and Mineral, 321 Mineral. I want to say thank you, Chief Irvin, not for coming out today. Your efforts were not unnoticed. Because we've got glass literally on 2 sides and we have almost a 180 of Mineral Avenue, we see all the things that go on, and I really appreciate him taking the time today to do all that he did, to see what the problem has been all summer long. We have elderly clients that try and cross the road at the crosswalk, and people don't stop for those folks. Or the person will be halfway through the road and they'll continue to just drive through. And so I do appreciate that. I would, however, my big request that I would really like you to very seriously consider is to put a 4-way stop at the corner of 4th and Mineral. 1, to slow the traffic down, and 2, we have seen at least on 2, if not 3 different occasions, the ambulance coming from the barn to turn left onto Mineral to go down the road, and someone almost T-boned them. We actually have a video camera, and we take video of those kinds of things, just in case something does happen, because it's the right thing to do. So if you would very seriously consider just 1, and there has got to be a way to engineer one that won't affect the snow plows in the winter, but it'll slow people down and make them think about the people on the roads, you know, because there's a liability issue with the city if someone gets hit crossing that road. And it's just not bad. It's not good for business. It's not good for my business. It's not good for anybody's business in town. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments of items not on the agenda? And technically, Mineral Avenue is on the agenda under the speed limit and the walking flags. So
Four-way stop is not an
the four-way stop is not. I'm just saying if you want to make comments on the others, that's on the agenda. Fanny, you wanting to?
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay. Mr. Orr.
DCOR 1117 Nevada Avenue. Since you haven't done any minutes of the meeting that occurred in the mayor's office on, maybe it was September 13 or 16, it's not on the agenda, so I'll discuss it. I did file a complaint with the Office of Inspector General alleging criminal acts on the part of the mayor. And the Region 8 Director, Casey Becker, I believe her name was. She had her chief of staff with her and another assistant. A fellow by the name of Derek Dash stayed out here in council chambers because he didn't want to be involved in an illegal meeting. That meeting was not noticed. If you look up the definition of meeting, it met the definition of meeting. And the public really deserves to know what went on in that meeting with the EPA Region 8 Director, Casey Becker. I go back to when the EPA first came to town. The mayor at the time, Tony Burgett was his name. He had a secret meeting with the EPA, and then they put up, they ordered W.R. Grace to pay for $400,000 worth of buildings on Mayor Burgett's private land. Now that's the kind of stuff that goes on in secret meetings with the EPA. And I think the public deserves to know what went on in this secret meeting. Now I'm requesting information from Regional 8 Director Becker, and we'll wait and see what she has to say. But Madam Mayor, I think you could do a much better job of letting the public know what you're doing in the smoke-filled back rooms of City Hall. Thank you.
Any other public comments of items not on the agenda? Okay. Our first item on the agenda was the Heritage Museum update. Oh, I'm sorry.
Chelsea Mumford, also with Jade Salon. I'm just wondering why the four-way stop was not put on the agenda after our meeting Thursday. It sounded like it was something that was going on the agenda for our meeting tonight, and it was not. Everything else was the speed reduction, the others was on there, but no four-way stop. So, just curious if there's an answer for that.
I thought we were having that on for discussion. Do I just bring that up during?
No. I put on the two items you told me.
Like there's nothing on the papers, and after our meeting on Thursday, I felt like it was something that was going to be discussed tonight, being that it's been an ongoing thing since end of April, since I brought it to the council. So,
okay.
That's everything.
Any other public comments?
Zanny Riddle, 251 Cantana. I guess I don't know if I should do it in the other part of it or this part of it. I guess if the four-way stop is not in the agenda, then I guess I should do it here. I'm kind of saying the same thing I've been saying, which, since 2016 when I bought the salon on the corner of 4th and Mineral, my clients have consistently complained that it's very difficult for them to back out of spaces depending on their, particularly our older clientele is really challenged by, or if you don't have a backup camera, it's very challenging. I mentioned years ago at a city council meeting that I would love to see a four-way stop in that location because it just is very, if we could just slow down traffic enough, like 20 miles an hour isn't long enough for someone to back out. If you could stop them for just a second, that it would give people time to back out safely, and it would just make a lot of, especially our older clientele, feel more comfortable backing out. It's been a consistent complaint at my salon since 2016, since the angle parking was created, and I think it would just be a courtesy. I don't even go that direction. It's not for me, it's for the people that drive down there. We have more than 200 signatures from, you know, the community saying that they would request that. Brian has those signatures, so I don't know how many signatures it would take for people to think it's important or discuss it, but it's a big important issue for us, and just a courtesy to the elderly, in my opinion, to have a little bit more time to feel safe backing out. If people would actually yield, they're not. They're honking and driving around them. That's what we see all day long, is people not being courteous. If there was people being courteous, but that just doesn't seem to be what people are doing these days. So, I would love to see a four-way stop at the corner of 4th and Mineral. I feel like it would just be safer and just give people more time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? So,
Jerry Noble, 350 Cameron Street, Council. When will this hit the agenda?
I'm going to talk about it at the council discussion at the end of the meeting.
Okay, so that's why everybody was here. They believed that it would make it to tonight's agenda. We'd like to know that answer. I know we all went to the meeting the other night and we believed that it would make it to tonight's agenda. Thank you.
any other public comments? Any other public comments? Okay. Seeing no other public comments, we'll move on with the agenda. The first item was Sherry Turner for the Heritage Museum on the Montana State Tourism Grant for the Shea. She had emailed the request to be on the agenda, but sometime Friday she emailed and said she could not make tonight's meeting and requested to be rescheduled for December 2nd. Okay, so that brings us to the zoning districts. Kristen provided us with an updated zoning districts with the corrections that the council identified from the past meeting. So did everybody get a chance to read those and see those updates? I had put on your first reading, but I'm not going to do first reading tonight. I just want to double check and make sure there are no more corrections or comments regarding. So we'll start with Residence A. Did anyone identify any other changes they would like to see in it, Residence A?
Yes, I don't remember if I was outvoted or not, but the whole fire must be only located in the rear yards and shall only be conducted within 25 feet. I thought we wanted to strike that.
Yeah.
That came
That's
from the
because-
fire department recommendations.
Yes.
So that's.
Since it's a fire code thing.
Fire code says it must only be in the rear yard,
Yeah.
Fire code says 25 feet.
but in the rear yard we discussed removing, I thought.
Yeah, I thought we had the conversation that if you don't have a rear yard, it has to go in the front yard, so it can be 25 feet away.
There was discussion, but I don't know if that was
Okay. So we will go back and listen to the tape in regards to that. Any other comments? If there aren't any other comments on Residence A, then we would move on to Residence A2. And I assume that has the same fire.
Yes.
So we'll,
It's on page 3.
yeah, we will look at that as well, because it would apply to all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other changes or comments? And Residence B, same fire. So,
On page 4.
I'm sorry, yes.
Counselor,
The word, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we ever come up with what landscaping, what a definition of landscaping should be or could be?
The council voted to change the word to could, conditions that could.
Yeah, and I thought part of that was seeing a definition of what, or, you know, definition or terms of what landscaping could be or should be.
I think it would be dependent, as we talked about, on what the building looks like.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts, you know, what you would like to see as a definition?
I would like to see no definition, but that's just me.
Well, I think you mean you would prefer to see the word struck.
Yes, yes.
Rather than.
But yes, that's just me.
Okay. 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 Chapter 17, the residential business, the one with the most changes from its original state. And we'll go back to the original tape and see what we can find in regards to that, the discussions that on the items that have been mentioned. Is anyone may make a comment on the residential business?
The only change, just to remind people, on this one was under uses. It previously said businesses, and that was changed to entities. Page 1.
Okay. If the council is good with it.
Can we have a clarification on signs? There shall be no electronic signs. Are those the ones that run words across them?
Electronic signs.
Or not all of them run words.
I know.
Some of them are stationary, but they could flash words.
Okay.
Or just.
I just couldn't remember exactly.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments? I'll open it for public comment. Okay, are there any public comments on the changes that have been made or suggested changes for the residential districts? Mr.
Good evening. Vince Backen, 427 Thomas Street. I can't hear greatly back there, but did I hear something about a word about should, must, or may, or shall with landscaping?
Could.
Could instead of should. In other words, what I heard was that landscaping may be dictated by the council?
In specific, these very specific incidents that's in this ordinance. And you can find copies of them over there.
I can do that. I only got 3 minutes left. I'll get off it. Here's the time.
Okay.
But Ian, I think you said you didn't want that word should.
I don't want it at all. I don't think that we should be mandating landscaping.
One thing I want to say is, as a person that does own property in the city, is your landscaping should be an expression of yourself, of your culture, of your life, your own personal expression. Unless you're in a homeowners association, which then you choose to be in that environment. So I'd be on your side of that issue.
It's under Residence B, page 3, if you want to look at it. Any other public comments?
Karen Jenkins, 1210 Dakota Avenue, and this isn't necessarily about each of the
ordinance revisions. I would just like to ask, though, that you confirm that the map that's out there on the internet of the zoning districts is the most current map and showing what's Residence A, Residence AB, all of that.
Yes.
Because I don't think it is
Right,
current.
once the changes are adopted, if the council adopts those changes, then we'll be updated.
So including everything that has been done up to this point where you guys have annexed different things in, that map is up to date?
I don't know about that because we have a mapping.
That's what I'm
technician.
asking,
It
is the
hasn't been
map be
for the most
updated
recent
with what's-
annexation.
Okay.
Okay, any other public comments? Mr. Orr?
DCOR 1117 Nevada Avenue. Will the maps be up to date before you guys make a decision, or is the public just left wondering where this is going to affect things? Will the maps be up to date? Okay, so no one answers questions here. I forgot. I'm sorry. There was a very shocking revelation at the last meeting wherein the chair of this committee acknowledged that, I don't remember the exact words, because she is the busiest, most productive, most important member of the council, she has never taken minutes in her meetings, ever. Now, that came out back in 2020 when this was changed from a planning board to a zoning board, and the attorney said the minutes had to be taken. Minutes have never been taken. That means there's never been a legal meeting of the zoning board, ever. That means everything that has ever been brought to you by the zoning board is illegitimate. That means you're going to get us sued. You guys have put stuff on the books that wasn't properly done, was not done according to how government is supposed to run. You guys think you can play fast and loose with the rules, but when you go to court and someone says, well, I don't believe this zoning law is legitimate because I've never been able to find minutes, and we play the tape of the chairman saying, I've never taken minutes because I'm too busy, because I'm the most productive member of the council, then you're going to lose a lawsuit. You guys, if you vote on this, according to Montana law, all of those meetings were done illegally under 2-3-203. That means that the chairman held illegal meetings. That goes to Title 45, which is Criminal Code, official misconduct. And anybody who votes on these votes on something that's been illegally done. Under Montana Code, again, accountability, look it up, you guys will be accountable for the crimes that was committed. The beauty of that is that official misconduct is one of the crimes that can get you all removed from council. That is one of the requirements for the Montana Recall Act. If you vote on this, you'll be recalled.
Okay. Any other public comments on the zoning districts? Any other public comments? Seeing no other public comments, I'll bring it back to the council table. If you have no other comments, I'll move on to the next agenda item. Okay. As a result of the Streets Committee that was held last week, I was asked to bring forward 2 recommendations from the Street Committee regarding Mineral Avenue. First was to approve the lower offer for a grant fund for crosswalk flags for Mineral Avenue. The second was for reducing Mineral Avenue's speed limit from 25 to 20 on from 8th Street to 1st Street. So we'll, Brian, if you'd like to talk first about the lower offer for the flags.
Yes, Tabitha Burgitz with Lohr said that she would take care of writing the grant and getting us the monies for doing the flags at all the crosswalks on Mineral Avenue. We also talked about doing the reduced speed, of course, from 25 down to 20 on
Take it one
Mineral
at a time,
Avenue.
though.
Just one at a time, okay.
Yes.
So on the flags, Laura did say that they would take care of that for us. All we have to do is let her know. So,
You want to talk about the purpose of the flags?
well, the purpose of the flags is at each crosswalk on a pole on each side of the street is a holder that has, you can pick what color of high-vis flags that you want, yellow, orange, green, and then have those at every intersection, and it's for the crossing. Wallace, Idaho, I believe it was, had a real good video online that showed them people using those to try and be more high visible when they're crossing, to feel safer using the crosswalks. So that's why we had that in committee. It was brought to our attention from a couple concerned citizens. So, any questions with that from council?
Okay, I would open that up for public comment regarding the lower offer to fund crosswalk flags for Mineral Avenue. Are there any public comments?
Tony Lynn Mackin, 809 Dakota Avenue. So it's McCall, Idaho.
McCall's. I knew I
Just
got it
wanted
wrong.
you to know that.
I knew I got it wrong.
Because I'm actually someone that did get to use those crosswalks. And as a surviving person that was hit as a pedestrian in a crosswalk here in this community, I think it's a fantastic idea to add. So I'm very grateful that you guys are taking this on, because it was a life-changing moment, and it changes everyone around you. So thank you guys for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments regarding the offer to fund those flags?
Carol Sugar, 321 Mineral Avenue. I think it's a fantastic idea, especially as far back as the crosswalks start and you've got the cars, and to be able to have something, you know, that they can see you with, because we've all, Chelsea and I have both tried to cross the street to go get lunch and almost been hit by a car. So if they've got something that they can see us with, more power.
Thank you. Any other public comments regarding this item? Any other public comments? Other public comments? All right, then I would bring it back to the council table.
I guess I didn't think we were doing them at all crosswalks. Is that what?
On Mineral
I thought
Avenue?
it was just 4.
I thought we were talking about doing them on each intersection for crosswalks.
I thought we were specifically talking about Fourth.
Fourth, I thought, was only for just stop signs only. I was looking at doing it for the whole downtown.
Do we ask some clarification from Laura what they're
Right,
expecting?
maybe Laura.
I think
She-
they're
Maybe
willing,
we
they're
should-
willing to fund anything,
Yeah.
but I, in my mind, I was under the impression
I
it
thought
was
4th, but does it matter? I mean, all of them, I guess. I'm just wondering about the longevity of the flags. How long are they going to stay there?
Yeah.
I mean, here pretty soon you're gonna see one on a big wheel over on Louisiana. I'm wondering.
We have a problem with so much vandalism as it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But I initially thought at the meeting, we were talking about 4th.
That's, I mean, I would say Fourth, Fifth, those are the two worst intersections for crossing. I mean, I walk up and down the street all the time. I don't generally have a problem on Third, but I don't have an objection to doing them. I just think you have a lot more eyes on 4th Street and 5th Street on those intersections to, you know, look for the flags, keep an eye out for the flags. You know, 3rd, 2nd, 7th, or 8th, whatever Lincoln Boulevard. They're just a lot more exposed, and I don't know. It's just comments.
Maybe we need to see what Laura thought they were
Okay.
funding.
Okay, I can go back and have a conversation with Laura.
With Laura, but
Okay.
I believe with my talks with Tabitha, she was expecting all crosswalks.
Okay, I will talk to her.
Okay.
And bring it back next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, and the second item that you requested was to reduce Mineral Avenue speed limit from 25 to 20 from 8th Street, which is Lincoln Boulevard, or no, the street by, actually the Blackboard,
Correct.
down to First Street.
Correct. Yes, we talked in committee about the reduction of the speed. We could, Laura was willing, if we wanted to, see about getting one of the speed limit signs that shows your radar or anything like that. We did have some people that spoke up and said sometimes that is a hindrance in the fact that some drivers like to look at it as a challenge. So maybe that wasn't the best bet, but for right now, if we can at least reduce the speed limit there on 8th Street, it looked like to me from looking at that location when Williams and I were talking, the corner cut for the handicapped is big enough that should be able to, right there on the corner with the Blackboard, hole cut and put in a piece of the expansion metal to do a breakaway right there on the corner to start off.
Okay.
So, anyone have any questions from council on that?
Keith, did you want to make a comment on that?
So as far as the radar-based speed limit signs, I did find out some more information about those that I was unaware of, that I'm pretty excited about. They actually do record all data from them, so time and speeds, and you can custom set them so that once it goes, 10 over the speed limit, it no longer says your speed limit, what your speed is. So then people aren't getting excited like, oh, I got it so high. It doesn't show that, kind of deter that.
Okay.
Having said, then we'd be able to use that information to focus patrols in that area to help prevent. I currently have a couple quotes for those. Then again, push for another grant that I'm working on for the school zones as well. But they are portable and small, so we can actually move them throughout town at our leisure instead of having it just mounted in one spot and calling it good. So then we can disperse those efforts, which would be beneficial. Something else I talked about, during my research for the grant, I also learned that there's a lot of those, to change speed limits, we have to make sure that there is a speed study done. I have a call in with the Department of Transportation currently to find out more about that. I'm not sure exactly if that would fall under city streets as well, or if it's only referring to highways, things like that. So that's some more information that I would recommend we gather real quick and reference that. If not, then we can almost dominate as a city. Great. If not, then at least we know where we need to start.
Okay.
Cody, could you give us the stats on the reduced speed limit from 20 to 25?
So again, when I was studying this stuff about school zone, things like that, they had a large study that was done that showed the drop from 5 miles an hour from 25 to 20 lowered crashes and injury incidents by 40%. So it actually is quite a drastic change just with that 5 mile an hour change. But kind of like I was saying a little bit earlier, as of now, the natural speed of Mineral Avenue is about 20 miles an hour. So people are already driving that for the most part because of how close those roads are. With all the active traffic, the majority of the people are already kind of following that speed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments before I open it up? Yes.
I'm discussing this with some of the local business owners and being downtown forever myself. I love the idea of stop sign at 4th. I'd also like to see one at 6th where the fire department crosses. That would reduce the speed down Mineral Avenue by having those 2 stop signs. That seemed to be everyone I've spoken to, in fact, it would be anyone down there that opposed that idea, that for the crosswalks, for the pedestrians, for the businesses, that's something I would like to see come forward.
Okay. Any other comments? No, open it up for public comment. So, any public comments regarding the reduced speed?
Chelsea Buckford, just one. I appreciate being down there today, but what we see every day versus just 2 days that you were down there for the majority of the day. I mean, there's days that people fly high. I mean, I feel that 1 day of calculating what speeds are, I don't believe that 20 miles an hour is the main speed down there. It would be nice to see the speed limit go down as well as the four-way stops. If that is done, will it be posted at each end of Minerals? Like by 8th, you said 8th, would it be down by 2nd or by you as well, posted for people to see?
We would have to pick a spot down there as well.
Okay, just curious, thank you.
Any other public comments regarding reduction of speed limits?
Oh, no, I'm on stop signs.
No, this discussion is regarding the speed limit
Yep,
reduction.
Speed limits go.
Speed limit. Any other public comments regarding speed limit reduction? Any other public comments?
Stop sign? I actually really like the idea of having the 2 stop signs, okay? And it should be fairly easy in my little semi-engineering mind to figure out a way to put those up on both of those areas. And it would be hugely beneficial, really. It will make us more of a walking town.
Okay.
Karen Jenkins, 12 in Dakota. I'm going to piggyback on her. I like the idea of a second stop sign at the 6th because I can tell you every day of the week I cross 6th, and now that the annex building for the county is down there with the perpendicular parking the way it is, and that is full. And you cannot see across, so having a second stop sign there for the fire department, and that would help reduce a lot. You have to inch so far out that you're almost out into the road in order to cross.
Okay. Any other public comments regarding?
Sandy Riddle, 251 Cantana. I didn't know if our comments, if what was said in that meeting was public knowledge, so I just wanted to reiterate that Justin Williams came and said in that meeting, the streets meeting, that it would be very simple for him to add the 2 stop signs at 4th and Mineral, and he said he could do it like yesterday. Okay. He said he could do it tomorrow, and that was Thursday. So, and he said it was $186 for both. I would volunteer to pay for that. I love the idea of 2. We had 2, and it worked great in the past, and we didn't have the angle parking, and I think it would be great. And, it doesn't sound like we're going to get, if we have to do a speed study, we're not going to get the lowered speed limit right away, potentially, possibly. We're definitely not getting our streets. He didn't sound like he was painting them the crosswalks till next year. If he could put the stop sign up and get that done yesterday, that would be great. I just didn't know if that information was public knowledge that he said, and he said he would much rather do that than other forms of, bump outs, speeds, different changes to the road that would make it difficult for him to plow, or for the county, or for the plowing to be done. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Mr. Orr?
Yeah, DC Orr, 1117 Nevada Avenue. This came out of Streets Committee, is that correct? And the Streets Committee does a good job of keeping minutes of their meetings. I would note, though, that your city website sucks. I don't know how much you're paying for it, but it is not user-friendly. I couldn't call up any of the committee reports that I wanted, and I think you're paying too much for it if it's more than, say, 3 cents. I appreciate Chair Zimmerman for keeping good minutes, for doing things legally and properly, and I think this is a good thing to do. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments regarding the original topic was speed limits reduction? Any other public comments? Any other public comments? then I will bring the discussion back to the council table. And it sounds like we need to postpone the decision on this until we find out about speed studies and that kind of stuff. Okay? So, moves on to the next item on the agenda is to appoint.
Oh.
Okay.
How do we get stop signs to be front and center?
Like I said, I will bring it up at council discussion at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
So that way we can all talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. Appoint the ex officio member of the Government Study Commission. I put at everybody's table place in over there is a MCA regarding the composition of the study commission that addresses the ex officio member. Every study commission shall include an ex officio non-voting member, a member of the governing body, or an elected official or employee of the local government appointed by the governing body. The ex officio member of the must be appointed prior to the organization of the study commission provided for in 73179. So I know that Sam has said he would be willing to serve in that position. I know that there are other people who might want to. So I'm kind of asking the council if there's anyone here that would like to volunteer for that position. So, or.
I would volunteer for that
Okay.
position.
Anybody else?
Needs two?
No. I'm just giving everyone an opportunity to put their name in the hat before we go to a. Is that the only person who wants to volunteer then? Okay. Then I would open that up for public comment regarding the volunteer for the ex officio member of the Government Study Commission. Mr. Backen.
Vince Backen, 427 Thomas Street. I think it's a good thing that a council member be on that as an ex officio member, because they're elected and they're not part of the administration who will be interviewing and things like that. So I think it's a great idea that somebody from the council is on that decision.
Okay. Anyone else wants to make a comment regarding the ex officio member, Mr. Orr?
DC Orr, 1117 Nevada Avenue. Yeah, we do need one member that is ex officio, but understand that every single council member is invited to all our meetings. We're going to rely on great public engagement, and so the public is going to be a big part of what goes on there. So everybody in the room, please come to those meetings also. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment regarding the ex officio member? Oh, since there is only one volunteer, I would entertain a motion to appoint you as that ex officio member.
I make a motion to appoint you as the ex officio member.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay. Moving on to the ordinances that have been recommended by the police department. The ordinance committee met and have moved forward recommendation for approval 5 of those. The loud vehicle stereo ordinance came forward with no recommendation. The first of those is the distracted driving, and this is just discussion tonight to see if anyone wants to make any changes to any of these. So the first would be distracted driving. Did anyone see anything that stuck out regarding this ordinance when you read through it?
Yes, the entire thing.
Okay.
I would like to see it as an enhancement to a traffic citation, or a citation during a motor vehicle accident. I know for a fact there are people who use their phones to great effect, you know, and I know there's obviously, of course, there's a exception for law enforcement, fire department, all that, but I know based on my training and my experience that I can be a safe driver while using a cell phone, and if we shouldn't be penalizing everybody all at once for the mistakes of one person who get into a motor vehicle crash because they're using their cell phone.
Okay, so you would recommend not passing this ordinance?
Yes, I would recommend
Okay,
not.
anyone else make a comment? Mr. Taylor?
Mayor, I agree with Mr. Smith on some of this. Also, I mean, we're defining distracted driving as the use of a cell phone. Well, what about eating a cheeseburger, drinking a Big Mac, putting on your makeup, reaching across to change the radio station? I mean, picking on one particular item here, yes, I understand has been a tick, and everyone has a cell phone these days. I see plenty of other distracted driving going on. The dog in the lap leaning out the window. We're attacking one particular thing here and calling that distracted driving. I don't agree with that.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So provision D is the catch-all for those things, because I actually raised the same question during the committee, and it states engaging in any activity that is not necessary for the safe operation of a vehicle and which impairs or reasonably would be expected to impair the ability of the operator to drive vehicle safely. So I said those same things, and that is the attempt to address that: eating, reading, putting on makeup, etc.
Okay. Any other comments? Chief, would you like to make any comments?
So, again, our main purpose of this was to help deter crashes. Obviously, we don't have an obscene amount of crashes that are directly correlated with distracted driving, but it is an issue in town. There are people who can text and drive and show no signs that they are violating any kind of laws. They're staying within their lane, they're not weaving, they're not crossing lines, they're using the turn signals, things like that. It's still an issue, but it's not causing a massive hazard to others. But that being said, especially with this, as you well know, it's all officer discretion. And so the point of view, if someone is causing a hazard, again, failing to maintain the lane, following too closely, failing to use other parts of the vehicle, turn signals, things like that, then it becomes an issue and we need to address it for the safety of the public.
I disagree. There are MCAs out there that talk specifically about that. Failure to use turn signal, failure to yield a stop sign. There are specific state codes already out there.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's an immense amount of studies that have been done to show that distracted driving has been an increase from and has caused significant more crashes throughout the nation. Yes, there are codes that are addressing these things, but it's just another tool in our toolbox to help prevent them. We're not trying to impose some crazy law on people to push them down to get involved with more people than they need to be, but we're trying to find more ways to engage the public to help educate them to help people be safer.
When you give your police report, you break it down a little bit, and I know you've mentioned there's been crashes from distracted driving, right?
Yes.
Like that's a stat that you have. How many crashes maybe this year were from distracted driving?
This is a good portion of it. There's a lot where, again, we either can't prove it, they don't admit to it, things like that. Even today with my traffic stops, I had 3 people admit to being distracted and not stopping at the stop sign. So things like that is what we're trying to address, is trying to help people. It's not that, again, we're not trying to be some police state to enforce all these laws and demand people bend to our authority or anything like that. We just want to help prevent crashes and keep them safe.
Thank you. So any other comments before I open it up for public comment? Okay, any public comment on this proposed ordinance regarding distracted driving?
Tony Moon back from 809 Dakota Avenue. So I just want to understand the clarification because I've lived in other states with this being in place. So is it going to be a first offense or is it going to be a second offense? Are you getting pulled over if they see the phone in your hand, or are they getting pulled over because you were doing something else? That's my main question. If we can have that clarification. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments?
Sandy Riddle, 251 Cantana. If there's already laws in place for something, we don't need redundant laws. If there's already something that's, I just hate to see law on top of law. We live in Montana because we don't want to have a bunch of extra stuff. If it's already in the laws, then I don't put a bunch of extra rules on top.
Okay. Any other public comments? Mr. Orr?
DCR 1117 Nevada Avenue. Want to start by shining the teacher's apple. The chief couldn't be at the meeting where this was discussed, but he did send an email, and the chief was very clear that the lesser fine amounts was what he was shooting for. This is not a revenuing issue, and I found that very refreshing. Having said all that, I do have some reservations about some of them. I've expressed them to the chief, and the chief, being approachable as he has alleviated a lot of my fears. I do have to point out, however, that the irony, the chair of this committee has acknowledged that she's too busy and too important to keep minutes, and I expect that there are no minutes for the ordinance committee. The irony of that is these ordinances were passed illegally, unethically, dishonestly, and I think that the police officers are going to find some irony in trying to enact laws that were passed illegally. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments regarding distracted driving? Okay. Then we would move on to the next proposed ordinance, morals and safety, entitled Urinating and Defecating in Public Places.
Say this is fairly self-explanatory. I will also note that there's an extra version of this in non-codified code that got inadvertently attached to the email, so that comes at the end of the chain.
Okay.
And as I stated in my memo, which did that get attached to all of this?
Yeah, it was
The
at the
memo
beginning.
should be.
It was at the beginning.
Yes, okay. There were several people that attended the committee meeting, and one of the changes the committee made to this ordinance had directly to do with the comments received and had to do with peeing behind a truck door.
Yeah.
So those are the exemptions that was added. Number 2, if the act of urinating is on private property not open to public view, it's an exemption.
Okay. Any other comments? I asked the chief if he would like to make any comment on this one. Okay. Then I would open it for public comment.
There's a hand on there.
And it's not my cursor.
It's not.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and take the comment from the person. Participant. Can you read that? That is.
Um,
Oh, there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I had raised my hand back when you guys were discussing the flags and the stop signs.
Would you first state your name? Would you state your name?
And I was unable to attend the meeting.
Would you state your name and address, please, and then we'll let you make that retro comment.
Okay, my name is Tabitha Vergett, 4680 Kootenai River Road, and I had listened to the conversation regarding the flag and the stoplight. I would still be in favor of considering funding for those projects and writing the grants to request those funds as long as they pertain under our $30,000 level at which we can fund. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion and had raised my hand at that point.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry we missed it at that point.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Did she say it was for all the streets?
We just said it.
Oh, okay.
Under 30,000. So, okay.
Got it.
We were discussing public comment, asking for public comment on the ordinance regarding urinating and defecating in public spaces. Any public comment on that? Any public comment? Then seeing no public comment on that one, we would move on to the aggressive solicitation and adding definitions. Council have any comment on that one? I know this has been a conversation, I've seen people talk about it in relation to being approached in the Rosar's parking lot and some of that kind of stuff.
So I'll just note for council's sake, a lot of these are proposed with some new definitions, so each chapter will have some additional definitions added to them.
Okay. So, any comments? Does the chief want to make a comment regarding this?
Just for some clarification in regards to this, Montana already has a law set for soliciting on the side of a highway, which is illegal for safety reasons. And then ours, again, is for aggressive solicitation. Solicitation itself is protected by the Supreme Court as free speech. And this in itself, again, is focusing more on the more aggressive, in-your-face solicitation of people being accosted in the parking lots. So that's our concern, again, pushing for that safety. But solicitation in itself on private property, open to the public, is free speech as protected by the Supreme Court.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions on that?
No, and thank you, because I believe it was Officer Ruthie.
Correct.
He was at our meeting that we had to go over all this stuff, and he was very helpful with all that. Thank you.
Okay. Any public comments regarding the ordinance on aggressive solicitation? Any public comments? Okay. Any public comments before we move on to the camping, sleeping, motor vehicles, and storage of personal property? This one didn't got omitted from the packet. I did put at your place, and there are some over on the table. Okay. If you want to take a minute to read that one, since it didn't make your packet. It's about camping, sleeping in public spaces for the most part.
So I do have a question here. It says unlawful camping. It is unlawful and a public nuisance for any person to camp, occupy camp facilities, or use camp paraphernalia in any of the following places.
Okay, can you tell us where you are?
So I am on page 3 of 6.
Okay.
Halfway down.
Okay.
It says, no, never mind, I disregard, I found what I was looking for.
Okay. Any other comments? Chief, do you want to make any comments regarding this one? Okay. I would open it for public comment regarding camping in public places. Public comment? Public comment. Okay. Okay, we can move on to the parking violations declassified as misdemeanors and setting fines. An update to our ordinance.
So, Madam Mayor, council members, this chapter exists currently in our code, and all the request is filling out this middle column with first offense, second offense, third offense for those specific parking violations that are so severe. There's currently not a graduated fine.
Okay. So any comments regarding those?
I'd like to see the handicap parking offense like doubled.
Have it what?
Doubled.
Okay. Did you want to respond to that? Couldn't tell from the body language.
So as far as my big purpose for the clarification of the fines was, in city ordinance, it wasn't specified at all. It was left discretionary, which I thought was inappropriate, that it needed to be set so that everybody knew exactly what the expectation was. I know that the handicap is set by state law at $100. I'm not sure if we can double or not. If we can, I definitely will not propose that. I'm just not sure exactly if we're allowed to for that or not. So, any other questions?
Would open this. I'm sorry.
I said thank you.
Okay, open it for public comments. Is there any public comments on setting the fee schedule for parking violations?
Chelsea Meck for Jade Salon. Question with the parking violations. We are having issues with people parking in our yellow. Yellow is a no parking zone whatsoever, correct? No is it drop off allowed? Is it a drop off zone? Can you drop in yellow, correct?
It's no parking.
Okay.
Critical active loading only.
Okay, I just wanted to correct that.
Yeah, so the main purpose is
okay. Well, we are having issues with people parking in yellow, so
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments regarding setting the fees for parking violations? Any other public comments?
Sure. I'll let it rip. We got someone in Terry North, 350 Camden View. We have signs for 2-hour parking all the way down Mineral Avenue, California Avenue, every side street. It's a 2-hour parking. See all the cars parked on the deck for more than 2 hours? How come they don't get tickets? Is it a time issue? Is it daily? Just curious. So either it's a law or it's a not law. I want to know.
Any other public comments regarding the parking fees? Any other public comments? Okay, then we'll move on to the prohibited as loud sound amplification came back with no recommendation.
Yeah, so the committee discussed this and just had too many reservations about what was proposed and questions, but didn't feel compelled to make any suggested changes. So it comes before you with no recommendation.
Okay. Does anyone, council, have comments?
I have a few.
Sure.
I know personally, I dealt with this on the street, and it fell under disorderly conduct. If there was a victim, there was somebody who wanted to press charges for disorderly conduct, that's what would be done. Perfect example was a gentleman who was listening to podcasts that had all sorts of profanity. People said, hey, we don't want this, we don't want this. I asked them if they were willing to sign a complaint. They said they were, and I issued them the citation for disorderly conduct. And we talk about the auditor, let's see here, clearly heard at a distance of 50 feet or more. Well, I have pretty decent tinnitus from my time in the military, and I feel like 50 feet or more and clearly heard that leaves it too open to interpretation. I feel like there needs to be decibels, it needs to be brought in more, because my hearing is different than your hearing. So I don't like this.
My recommendation is no.
Okay. Sure, if you would like to speak to it.
So this ordinance came up, and our thought process for it was because we received multiple complaints of vehicles driving around with extremely loud sound systems, so much so that it's shaking houses, shaking windows. We understand that everybody's is different, everybody has different hearing levels, what they're sensitive to, things like that. The point of the code was mostly just to try and be a little bit more specific, where in our code currently, the city ordinance 9.60.020 prohibited acts for noise states sound amplifying equipment using, operating, or permitting the use of any radio receiving set, musical instrument, television, stereo, or other machine or device for the production or reproduction of sound in such a manner as to disturb the quiet, comfort, and repose of any normally sensitive and reasonable person. So really we have everything right there. We don't have much heartburn about this not being pushed forward at all. Again, we received many complaints throughout the community, and we're just trying to address it.
All right, thank you. So any public comments regarding the loud sound amplification?
Karen Dinkins, 1210 Dakota Avenue. I attended the meeting where this was discussed at, and as I recall, a lot of the people were, most of the people were against it, just because of the fact that, as you said, if somebody wants to make a complaint, then they can do something. But for somebody just to call in and say, they don't like it, but they're not willing to make a complaint, is not right. Because I'll tell you, I don't like all the construction next to me. But
any other public comments on sound amplification? Mr. Orr?
So I just want to know, are there minutes of this meeting? Because they are required by law, Montana Code annotated 2-3-212. And if there are no minutes, then there was no meeting. And if I can borrow a line from Terry Noble, if it's the law, it's the law. If it's not, it's not.
Okay. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Okay. Seeing no other public comments, I would bring the discussion back to the council table. So it sounds like there's a couple things to check on a couple of them, but basically the urinating and defecating in public, the aggressive solicitation, camping, and the parking violations should move forward. There's questions about the the loud sound amplification and question about the distracted driving. Does that summarize it? Yes. Okay. So we will since this was discussion, we'll make a decision about the two in question at the next meeting, and we'll try to check into a couple of the comments, okay? So that brings us to all claims received to date.
Make a motion we approve all claims received to date.
Second.
Okay, did everyone get a chance to see the claims? Okay. Any public comments regarding the claims? Public comments regarding the claims? Okay, seeing no public claims, comments regarding the claims, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Claims are approved. Business license, there was one business license. The Quick Stop has been sold to a new owner. So, did everyone see it?
Yes.
Make a motion we approve the business license received to date.
Second.
Okay, any comments regarding it? Any public comments regarding the business license? Public comments? Okay, seeing no public comments regarding the business license, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That business license is approved. That brings us to the last business item, the swearing in of the Government Study Commission, DC Orr, Karen Dinkins, and Vince Bakken. If you want to come forward, do you want to do individual swearing in, or do you want to just the three of you? It's up to you.
We're fun.
Sorry?
In front, Madam Mayor, in back, where do you want?
I can come to you if you prefer, okay? Raise your right hand. I, state your name. Solemnly swear that I will support,
solemnly swear that I will support,
protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States
protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and will discharge the duties of my office
as Local Government Study Commission with fidelity.
As local government study commission with fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay. Congratulations. We will get your certificate signed. There is an organizational meeting tomorrow at 6. Your first order of business will be to elect a temporary presiding officer, and it will be your commission from that point. So, brings us to the unfinished business of the Libby Development Fund, the fund policy. I've done nothing on that. So move on to general comments from the council. Mr.
So, during our discussions in the Streets Committee with regards to four-way stops, especially down there on 4th and Mineral, they did have a total of 227 signatures so far of people that had signed between the two salons that are kitty corner from each other to have that four-way stop. Justin Williams and I did meet down there to look at some different things to try and keep things up out of the way. There are posts, the power poles at Manahan's and in front of the new quilt shop that does allow that we could put up to a 36-inch stop sign on each pole if we wanted to do that. On that four-way stop, there was also some talk of whether to do anything elsewhere. Mr. Taylor, you brought up, about 6th Street. Mrs. Dinkins, I believe she was actually talking about 5th Street, though, by the Annex building. 6th is the fire department.
Right.
Okay, but you're talking about the county annex building, so I thought you were down another block too.
It's down a block, but
Okay.
that's where all the parking is.
Okay.
You can see around it.
Okay, and so if that's something that as a council we want to possibly move forward with, we had discussion in the group. We didn't come with a recommendation, but I at least wanted to have discussion on it here to possibly do that. So does anybody on council have any questions they want to ask?
I have a couple questions. I sit on the streets committee, and I believe that we discussed about 5 or 6 things that were supposed to come to council to be discussed, recommendations, such as the repainting, the reduced speed, the crossing flags, the rumble strips, the bump outs, and the more patrols. But I see 2 things on here from the list of things that we recommended and didn't come here to council.
And part of that was after that meeting that we had when I was talking with Councilor Smith and Mayor Williams on some of these I have here on my notes. There are some things that are already in progress that are being talked about with the parking downtown in certain areas. The rumble strips and bump outs were things that we talked about, but our street foreman is against those because of the kind of the problems that they bring.
I think the rumble strips he's opposed to going into winter, and that spring he would not be opposed.
I'm pretty sure we made a motion to send this to council.
Right, so the discussion was that, and that was my recollection as well, is that we moved to bring it to council to pursue these things, not necessarily that they were going to start tomorrow,
to talk
but
about
but to talk about them and to have a bigger discussion about safety on Mineral Avenue. So I like the idea of the 2 stop signs at those locations, but I think there's a lot more we could do design-wise tomorrow, but planning for it.
Right. So I guess this kind of raised another question, which, surprise, because it's going to be one of those days. With the streets committee having 3 members and then 2 members meeting to discuss it, was the other one kind of going, hey, what just happened?
All that happened was after the meeting I was going to the mayor to make sure that these were able to get on the agenda in time, because that was Thursday afternoon. That was the reason being. Mrs. Smith just happened to be there.
I was just sitting
Yeah.
here.
So it seems like we have a pretty clear thing looking us in the face that we could do to make the people happy and increase safety and all that, and that's the stop signs. There's a lot of other questions about some other things, but it seems like the stop sign question has kind of been put to bed as far as if it can be done and where it can be done, so I kind of feel like that's a good path forward.
I would suggest we put it on the next agenda.
Yes,
Okay.
I would agree.
Have that. Okay, any other council comments?
Yeah. Forgive me, I'm new. I'm still learning things. I have noticed a few things, and people have come to me. And I feel like it should be addressed. I feel like it's inappropriate for a sitting city council member to speak with the community on their own, on their behalf, and say, I've done some research, I've checked this out, you know what, we're going to get this done. I personally don't like that. I don't know if it's illegal. Like I said, I'm new, but I would like it to stop.
Well, we're elected by the people of this community, and so they have every right to speak to every one of us about issues they see. I know they've talked to Councilman Taylor, they've talked to Counselor Smith, I mean, whoever they feel comfortable talking to about an issue.
I get that, and they talk with me as well.
Right, and so
But it's the, hey, you go ahead and do that, it's ready, you go ahead and do that, and council hasn't even heard it yet.
Well, and that's a separate thing, but it should be up to an individual council member to, you know, bring it to council if it's something that has legs. But you can also, as an individual council member, say, well, here, this is something you should pursue, or you know, talk to these people, or, you know, do that. One individual council member does not make decisions.
Right, and that's, I understand that. But there is a sitting council member, things that have not been approved by council, yet there they are, even though the recommendation was made, and it's not that big of a thing. But all of a sudden, yeah, you go ahead and do that. And it's done, and council hasn't voted on it. There's other issues where sitting council member has talked to someone before council has heard and said, don't worry about it, I'm gonna make that happen. That I have a problem with.
Well, this is sounding, I think, very accusatory and
I agree.
Not.
So.
I mean, I don't know.
So like I said,
what
I'm
it's
not
about.
sure how it gets handled, but I think it needs to be addressed some way.
Okay. Any other council comments? Any other council comments? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.